Hi, everybody. It's Jay, and I am back in the booth with you for another sneak peek video preview for this week's new release here on Say with Jay. This week, our new release is episode 5 of Jessie Gussman's For Keeps With You. It's the 5th and final book in Jessie Gussman's Baxter Boys Sweet Romance series, and it is our next to the last episode in this series of episodes for this audiobook. And I've got more about episode 5 along with a preview for you in just a bit. But first, I wanted to share a couple of things. First, if you are listening to this on the day it releases or shortly thereafter, then we have just been through the Thanksgiving holidays here in the United States. And I just wanted to say I hope everyone had a safe and healthy, happy holiday, got to spend time with family and friends. And that also means we are now smack dab in the middle of the Christmas shopping season. We've just been through Black Friday, and of course, I'm recording this on the day before it releases, so I'm recording this on Cyber Monday, the largest online shopping day of the year. Well, that had me thinking of something to talk about here today, and the natural stress of the shopping season and all that was a good candidate, right? And that had me thinking about how I try to personally deal with challenges, stressful things, and so forth. But that led me down a little different road, and I started thinking about the way I just pray in general. And, I think we've all probably got our own little patterns of how we pray, if we pray on a daily basis, that kind of thing. And I know, for me personally, I catch myself asking about the same things over and over and over. And what I'm talking about there, I'm not talking about praying for people who have certain needs or being thankful for friends or family or anything like that. What I mean is that a lot of times I'll find myself saying something like, God, please help me address A, B, or C. And, it occurred to me that maybe I'm asking that the wrong way. And what I mean by that is that I'm asking him to help me, to give me an assist so I can do this, that, or the other. And it's kind of funny because Jessie has been writing this in her books for so long, and I've read it. Heck, I've read it to you guys. But that's that we really should be turning things over to the Lord and leaving it in His control. And if I apply that, what I really ought to be saying is, God, I'm giving you this problem that I seem to ask you about a lot, so I know I'm not able to handle it on my own by myself. And I'd like for you to take it and then lead me how you want me to go. Because, we know that God works all things to our good if we let Him. Secondary to that, I sometimes wonder, I don't want to bother God with this. Don't forget, He is powerful enough that He knows every sparrow in the sky. He knows the count of every hair on our heads. Yes, He absolutely has the heavenly bandwidth to deal with even what we consider our smallest problem, if we want and should want Him to take control of it. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'd encourage you, and I'm going to try to do it better myself, not necessarily to just pray for God to give you a boost to fix something yourself, but to turn over problems to Him and let Him guide us how we should go. Okay, I hope I said that with some sort of coherence, but let's take a minute now to talk about episode 5 of For Keeps With You. Now, through the first 4 episodes, and by the way, I'm going to try to be very spoiler-free here, and in fact, this coming preview is probably the most spoiler-free of any of our previews. But, the lead-up here may have a few hints. But we know that Dusty Bryant, a motocross racer extraordinaire, has had a terrible accident, and she has been working through her injuries with her physical therapist, Roland Bryant. And together, while they've healed Dusty physically, they have been growing together emotionally. And that, in and of itself, has had some issues, like we saw in episode 4. But now things are starting to pick up. And hiding behind that is the fact that Roland knows more about Dusty's condition than he's ethically allowed to say. But episode 4 actually ends with Dusty agreeing to go on a boat ride with Roland. And that is how we start episode 5. So here is a few minutes of episode 5. I hope you enjoy it, and then you'll come back for the full release this Friday here on Say With Jay. Dusty studied the rickety boat skeptically. It was a small rowboat with just enough room for both of them and a picnic supper. They dragged the boat to the water's edge. "How about you get in first, then I'll push it off." The water was deep and slow in this part of the river. "Okay." She didn't have any better ideas. "I don't want you straining to get in and hurting your leg." "I see. I thought you figured if it capsized, you wanted me to be the one to get wet." "Huh, I actually hadn't thought of that, but I do see the wisdom." "Funny." She climbed in the boat while he held it. He straightened. "Or, if it leaks, you'll be the one to get wet first." He gave her a look. "I know how competitive you are." "That's one area where I'll let you win." He stood with his hands on his hips. "The first person to get wet or the first person to fall in the river?" "Both." "Wow, so generous." Bending down, he grabbed the edge of the boat. "Hold on, I'm going to shove it, then hop in. I guess if I don't make it, you'll have to row back to shore. Don't strain your back or ribs." "Oh, don't worry. I wouldn't dream of straining my anything. I'll just drift down the river, trying to catch fish to keep from starving to death, and eventually, when I get to the Atlantic, a passing ocean liner will pick me up. Watch for me on the news, and remember, it was all for the sake of not straining my back." Someone has a very vivid imagination. He started to push. Or a latent desire to be on TV. The back end hit the water with a splash. "Just shut up and get in the boat." His foot slipped and hit the edge of the river with a splash. Dusty had a very real fear grip her heart that he might actually not make it in the boat. But he jumped and landed with a thump. The boat rocked, and she held on to the edges with both hands. Roland plopped down in the seat across from her. "There, that wasn't hard." He looked around. "I have no idea of how we're getting out of the river. How far away do you think that ocean liner was? We could send up a flare." She raised her brows. "I think we're outfitted a little less well than the Titanic. There are no flares. I suppose there's no lifeboats either? Roland asked with quirked lips as he took hold of the oars. This is the lifeboat. Dusty rolled her eyes, enjoying their banter. Please tell me you can swim. Roland grinned. Maybe we should have thought this through a little better. He tilted his head. Seems like since I met you, my ordered life has tanked. Could you phrase that differently, please? He laughed. I say we row upriver, so if I break an oar or something, we can always float down. Sounds perfect to me. Dusty let her head fall back and enjoyed the glimpses of the bright blue sky through the dark green oak and maple leaves. The easy slap and dip of the oars through the water was as relaxing as the light breeze that brought the happy smells of summer mixed with the heavier river scents. Roland rowed in a steady, relaxed manner, his head turned, watching the bank of the river slide by. She gazed at the play of muscles under his shirt, the flexing of his biceps as he strained at the oars. He turned his face and caught her staring. What? She smiled and shook her head. You must have rowed before. Yeah, once or twice a long time ago. My brother and I were in Scouts for a year or so. Oh? He never really talked about his family. My parents are pretty busy, and my grandparents are divorced, both sides, so it made for a shaky family. But one year, Graham took us to Scouts. Your grandparents are still alive? Yeah, some of them. We all get together at Christmas. My parents rent a big cabin in Tennessee, and we all gather there. They rent the cabin for 2 weeks, and people come and go. Oh. It didn't sound like a close family gathering, but no one in my family really has a traditional marriage with staying together and raising kids, being close. His eyes snagged hers. I guess, when I thought about it, I wanted to be the one. The one? The one that was different. I wish our family had been closer. If I have kids... His voice trailed off, and Dusty thought of the expression on his face as he held the baby that afternoon. If I have kids, I want them to have a mom and dad who are together and who are home. The oars continued a steady rhythm. My parents aren't divorced, but they were never home. My brother and I grew up in different worlds. Maybe Scouts was the only thing we really did together. Dusty didn't say anything, just ran a finger over the rough edge of the boat. Roland wanted a traditional marriage. Wife, kids, family. She wanted that too, she supposed. But she wanted a championship more. Didn't she? Hi, this is Jay, and thanks for listening. If you're ready for another great audiobook, here's one we think you might like. Or check out the playlist with all our latest releases. Don't forget to subscribe to Say with Jay, give this video a thumbs up, and tell us what you liked in the comments.